Hello everybody. Welcome to another crafty day. We are going to make something fun today. We're going to make a little one-sheet folio. We've done those before, and this is going to be a little bit different. And so I hope that you grab out a paper and pencil or something so you can write it down, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be easy. Now don't get confused. We are going to make we're going to use one page, but we're not going to make it too difficult, okay? Who wants something that's super difficult? I hope you don't think it is anyway, but that's what we're going to do today. And I'm just bringing this up so I can find my comments. I'm going to be streaming on Facebook and YouTube. So if you see somebody making comments in a place that you are, if you hear me answering or responding to things that you don't see anybody, that's why. Hi Diane, how are you? Hi Karen. Hope you guys are having a great day. You've been busy today yet? What have you been up to? I tell you what, I can't believe when I go live in these afternoon times, I'm always so surprised at how, how quickly this time of day gets here, right? It just is here and gone, and it'll be evening before we even know it. But, hey Deborah, welcome everybody. So we are still having kind of a cool down in our area, so I'm going to take it. I don't really like it super hot, and so I'm going to take these cooler temperatures. So if you're just popping on, I'm Christy here at My Artful Adventures, and I do paper crafting, mostly paper crafting, and that can mean all kinds of things. That can mean it can mean junk journaling, card making, scrapbooking or memory keeping, just all the things. There's so many things. Sometimes we do a little bit of mixed media. Sometimes I do a little bit of fun painting, but primarily paper crafting. I've loved paper crafting as long as I can remember. Diane says she's gone for some blood work this morning and then went swimming. There you go. Took a short nap. Well, there you go. That's how you got to make it through the day. If that's how you make it through the day, there you go, right? Okay. Or no, Diane, did I say Deborah? I don't even know. I'm so sorry. Whatever. That was... Hey, Sue, how are you? Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to tip you down here to the desk view. Now this was a little journal we'd been working in before. We've got all kinds of stuff that we've been putting in here, little pockets and things. This was a envelope and card journal. Hey Molly, we're just getting started. How are you? You're not late. And then this was a little journal in a journal. So we put a little journal in there, and I showed how to make a little custom size envelope. So there we go. So that's why we're using this paper. It's a sister pattern to this other one that's already in here. It doesn't have so much of this tan background, but I think it'll be nice to give us a little bit of a change. And if we want to use it for something. And the reason I had more of this paper, but I didn't want to use it because on the back of it is a really bold yellow and white stripe, and I don't really think the yellow goes with what we're doing in here. I mean, it just is a complete disconnect. Now this one on the other side has this. It's kind of I was thinking it was kind of I would guess I would call it a greenish gray. It's probably leans more towards green, so kind of a grayed olive color, I guess you would call it. So let's get started here. So we're going to take a 12 by 12 paper. Now, when you're making a folio, one of the things you want to think about is, do you have a directional pattern? And this one really is. It's got the flowers, these flowers, and I'll show you what I mean. Both of these kinds of flowers, every one of those is facing, the top is up here, and then the stem goes down here. Now it's got these other pieces that are facing the other way, but if you turn it this way, then all the rest of those flowers are upside down. So, pay attention to, what you're working with there. Hey Cheryl, thank you Molly, I always appreciate that. So what we're first going to do is we're going to cut a piece off clear across our paper. So we want it 12 inches long. And so then, you know, because this is our upside, I want it to be 5.5 inches, okay? So I'm going to cut that at 5.5. So I'm just going to go ahead. It doesn't matter whether I'm doing it at the top or the bottom. I'll just slide it in here and do 5.5 inches. Okay. So now we've got that. And let's just go ahead and score it while we're at it, okay? So we'll just set this to the side. So this piece we're going to score at, let's see, 3.5. Wait a second. Yes. Oh, I can't even read my own note, you guys. So let me move my notes. Goodness sakes. I don't want to have to keep twisting around here. Let me see if I can put them somewhere kind of out of the way, but where I can still see them. There we go. So we're going to score it at 3.5. And then I've got this handy paper trimmer that's got a score tool right in it. So 3.5, 3 3/4, because we're going to make it, we're going to give it a little room in our little booklet, our little folio. And then 8 1/4. Get my long arm out there. So 8 1/4. So we're just making little 1/4 inch gussets. And then 8.5. And that's all we need on that one, okay? So I'm going to set that to the side. Now on this piece, well, let me just show you what we're doing here. You can see this is going to be the base of our little folio. So just fold those over. I'm just giving them a rough fold right now. Before I use it, I'll make sure they're straight on the edges and give them a real good crease. So here we go, you know, just like that. And you can do the corner, you can round the corners if you want to. I may do that in a minute. Okay, so now on this piece, what you want to do, again, make sure you know which way you've got going up. And well, that's probably not so important right this second. But now we're going to cut off a piece that is 4.5 inches. Actually, we're going to do 2 pieces that are 4.5 inches. And just cut those. Another one that's 4.5. Because the 4.5 is how wide this is. This is 4.5 inches wide. My little gussets are kind of laying down there, so you can see this is this same size. All right, so let's put these around here. Okay, this one is going to be a flap for the top, and so what we're going to do is we're going to cut this to be 5 inches. Okay, so just off of the length, cut it to 5 inches. Hello, Mermaids Crafts and Bling. How are you doing? Hi, Linda. Okay, so we've got that one there, and we're going to score it at the top. So make sure you're scoring it at the top. And we're going to score that at 1 inch. Whoops. Let me get my blade out of the way. So score it at 1 inch and 1 1/4. And actually I'm measuring on this side. It's got that little bit over there, so if you're not doing too much, you can, score it on that side. I think it goes over to about 1.5 inches. Okay, so this is going to be the top flap like this, and then we want one for the bottom. So take your other piece that you already cut at 4.5 inches. No, Miss Mermaid, I cut the first piece. It's 12 inches across, and it's 5.5 inches tall. So not quite 6. We're only making a 5.5 inch tall folio. And so on this one, we want to make sure that, okay, well, this one we are cutting at 3 inches. The cutting doesn't matter. We got the 3 inches. But what matters on this one is we're going to score at the bottom. So make sure that because we're going to fold this and it's going to go up. You can't even see now. This is going to be a bottom flap. So this part needs to be the top. So make sure you have that at the top. So we're going to score the bottom again at 1 inch and 1.25 inches. Okay. This way it gives us a nice amount to fold over, and these are going to be, this inch part will be like a glue flap basically. And so it gives it a nice amount to glue and stay on there, right? What was the first part? The first part, okay, the first part score mark. Okay, so you've got it going across this way, your piece that's 5.5 inches tall and 12 inches wide, and you score that one at 3.5, 3 3/4, 8 1/4, and 8 1/2. Okay? Hey, Carol. So, okay, so now then we've got a flap for the top, a flap for the bottom, and my goodness, this is such busy paper, but you know, it'll all be fine, right? Now this piece we're going to use for pockets. This was at the bottom, or this was part of this piece here. So keep this bottom, and I'm going to cut it to be, let me see, I think it's 3.5 inches. I think I'm going to cut, and this part is totally up to you. I think I'm going to cut this at 2 1/4 for one pocket. So that gives one pocket to be 2 1/4 and the other one 1 1/4 inches. And so then inside we're gonna layer them up like this. So I like that. You can do however you want on those pockets. If you want them a different size, that will be fine. Okay, now this piece is 3 inches wide. This was what we had left on the second long 12 by 12 strip. And now we're going to cut this to be the same height as our folio, okay? And so that's going to be 5.5 inches. So we've got this, we're going to do 5.5 inches, so it's the same size. And we're going to make little pockets with these inside, like the side pockets, okay? And so since there's 3 inches, I'm just going to cut it in half, and I'll have 2 pockets. Okay, so there's our 2 side pockets right there. All right, so we are done with cutting the pieces to our folio, and we're ready to put it together. The second piece, okay, the second piece is this big one. Both of the flaps. Okay, so this piece is 5 inches tall and 4.5 inches. So this was how, let's lay them out again so people can figure out what we did. Okay, so this was from our second piece. Okay, so we'll backtrack for a second, okay? So this piece we cut off our 12 by 12. I'm kind of, let me see if I can bump it down a little bit, you guys. Okay. So 12 inches across, and we cut it 5.5 inches tall. And then we scored it at 3.5, 3 3/4, 8 1/4, 8 1/2. Okay. Now then the lower strip that we had, we cut these at 4.5. And then we cut this piece off, so it was 4.5. And then we were left with this side. We cut this piece down to 5 inches tall and scored it at the top, because this is your top flap. So score it at 1 and 1 1/4. Okay. So now this piece we cut off. We cut 3 inches off of here. And again, we turn it. Now this one has to be the bottom. This is a bottom flap. So if you've got directional paper, make sure you're scoring it at the bottom. And again, 1 and 1 1/4 inches. Okay, both of those. The scores are the same. And then that left us with this piece, and we just made pockets out of it. So we cut off this at 2 1/4. Now I should have made this a little bit more narrow to fit inside so it closes good. And then we just cut this size in half. Okay, so there we go. Let's start putting it together. And you can, let's see, you know what I found an old corner rounder at a sale, and I'm gonna round the corners here. Let's see how good that is. I don't really have any more for a corner rounding. For a true corner rounding is my big chomper thing from We Are Memory Keepers. That's all I've got. And then these, let's do, so one would be here and one over here. So let's do the outside corner so they'll match. So that's gonna go here. This one will go over here. So we need to do these 2 corners like that. So those will go there. And this will be our flap. So we'll just go ahead, that's the top flap. So we'll round those. Here's our bottom flap. So we'll round that. There we go. And then for our 2 little pockets, you know what? These need to be trimmed just a hair because they will fit so much better. And I mean just a tiny bit. That might be like about, well, that's probably like about a 1/16 of an inch. They just need a tiny bit, just so they sit within the fold lines, the score lines inside the center of our folio, right? Okay. Hey, Carol, our other Carol. All right, so here we go. Oh, and I was gonna do the top corners of these. Gotta make sure my flowers are headed the right direction. And then on our pockets, oh my goodness, can't pick it up. On our pockets, I am going to fold these together like this and give them a little thumb notch. Maybe. Okay. Well, I gotta grab them somewhere so I can get that in there and kind of, well, shoot. It's kind of hard getting it in there. My fingers aren't hardly that long, and I got to straighten it up. There. Okay, I think that's as good as I'm going to get. Oh, shoot. Oh, here, I can kind of hold it like that. Does that look like it's kind of in the middle? Oh, my goodness. Okay, that looks okay, I think. Oh, we'll live with that, right? Hi, Sue. How are you? So now they have the little thumb notch right on the right side. Oh, look at that. See, this is a good thing to do when you kind of, I call it dry fit because it doesn't have any glue on it. These need those corners rounded on the outside. There we go. I could have left it squared on that other side, but I did not. Oh, you know what? We also need a little thumb notch in these. I'm just going to hold the big one and do this one first, and then I'm just going to hold it up there and do the other one. And hope that works. So I can kind of get those straight. Or not straight, get them even. There you go. Then they will line up on their little pockets like that. Okay, all right, let's start putting it together. Anybody else have any questions about that? Okay, this is gonna be a little bit different for the way that we put these together. Okay, first let's do our top flap, and I am going to be using both some tear tape just to get it to stick real quick, so I'm not trying to struggle with keeping it in one spot, right? After I get it on there. And I'm just gonna put one. Just one will be fine. And so I'm just gonna give that a good press and poke at one to lift that off. Well, I heard it release, but there we go. And put a little glue on. So you want to only place your glue. These are so hard to view today, these papers. So here's the two scores. See, here's one, and the other one is towards the flap. So there's two of them. Only put your glue and your tape down to this score that is towards the outer edge. Don't go into the next one, because that's the only place we are going to be gluing it. So even though it's got that tape, just by putting a little bit of glue on it, it'll help give you just a moment. So now I'm going to put it in this way. I'm going to tuck it inside, pull it down here to the first little notch, the first score line in here, and then fold it over. That way I know it's in there where it needs to go. Okay, so we got that one in. We're going to do the same thing at the bottom flap. I like the fact that, you know, the tape is kind of instant, but sometimes I need a minute. So, you know, by putting the glue even over that tape, and a lot of people don't know that you can do that, and that's perfectly fine. You can get that tiny bit of glue on there, on that tape, and it's going to give you just a second. It's like you get, you know, you get double the fabulousness. You get instant stick when the part of it sticks to the paper, but you've also got just that minute to move it around. Just squeeze it on there. I have no rhyme or reason the way that I put glue on. How about you guys? Okay, so now this one is on the bottom. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to slide this in here. Slide it up to the score towards the outside. And then just get it in there. You know, this paper is so busy. You know, you don't you don't really even, the seams on here, my goodness, the paper's just so busy. I'm not even going to worry about doing something that really bothers you with your paper. You could cover it on the back if you wanted to. Whatever you want to do, right? Okay, now let's put a little bit of ink on. Let's do a little bit of Distress Oxide on some of this. Let's just give it a little inky goodness on it. If we're going to be able to use it with this other journal we've done, we've already done a lot of inking on that, and it'll just kind of help bring it all together. Now, we've made something similar to this before, and we did the scoring on the whole 12 by 12 sheet, and then cut out these sections. But the way that this has the little flaps, this is a little bit different. So we'll just Give it a little bit of inky goodness. So what is your, if you are a person who likes to do the inked edges, what's kind of your go-to color that you find yourself using most? And maybe you have, you know, some favorite colors that you like to use, you know, in your papers and your crafting. So maybe you use a different color. This is that one that is, it's that vintage photo color. I laugh all the time for people that like things with a little bit of a vintage feel. You know, your scrapbooking supplies should come with this. Right? Hey Lisa, how are ya? Good morning, friend. Well, I think you are on the East Coast, so, well, it's not even morning for me. What am I talking about? Oh my. We'll get it together, right? We'll get it together. Okay, now also when you're in here, you can check and make sure that, you know, your seams where you put your flaps on. Whoops, that one is coming. I have been doing too much with that first. And you can use more tape if you want to. You can definitely use more of the double-sided tape when you're putting it together. And I think I'm even going to kind of ink some of these score lines a little bit. Because I'm not going to cover this with anything else in here. There are going to be a couple of pockets, but that's it. And we're going to do kind of that different, you've seen me do it before if you've watched. We're going to put a different little spin on a closure. So we'll do that in a minute. We can do that kind of towards the end. Okay, well, I guess if we're going to do all those, we should do all of them, right? I'm not going to do all of them. That's too much. I don't want to do them all. So just a little bit here. A little inky goodness. Okay, there we go. So that gives that something to kind of tone some of that down. And on the outside, well, here we go. I guess we kind of do need to do a little bit on those score lines as well. Okay, there we go. Now, let's do a little bit. We've got these couple of pockets, so let's give them a little ink. I need to get another one of my little domed applicators. I just feel like I make such a mess with this brush, although I like using it. I do find, I tell you what, until they came out with those domed pieces for the, you know, the tools, I could not for the love of me try to, you know, do the inking. I just had a lot of trouble with it. Okay, and now this one, these are our side little tuck pocket things. We'll get these on there. Now, I don't think I'm going to be live tomorrow. I've got something in the works that I have got to take care of, and you guys will be hearing more about that for fall. We've got a fun event coming up this fall that I am going to be in, and I have to do all my stuff for my presentation. It has to be turned in by Friday. So I got to get cracking, you guys. All of it, all my stuff has to be turned in. So any handouts I have or anything else, all of it has to be. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and, yeah, that was the perfect amount to cut off there. So let's go ahead and get to gluing. So sides and bottom. And we'll just get those on. So we'll put the big one on first, our big pocket. We're going to slide it down here to the fold, just above that score line. Get that on there. We'll do the other one. And I heard somebody say this the other day, and I thought, yes, this is so true, and I never think to, say anything about it. But yes, if you're doing a pocket and you only need to ink inking too. If you're only going to do something on 3 sides, hold it on the one side, and then you know which side that you are inking, right? So there's our little pockets. Let's do our side pockets. And this is a little bit different with the little rounded sides. Okay, so again, doing the 3 sides. The back and the 2. And we got a little, oops, wait a second. Oh, I almost put it upside down, you guys. Got it. I got it though. I caught myself just in time. I tell you, when you're using things that are directional, you really have to keep checking on it, don't you? How many of you have ever used a directional paper and then did something and got it completely upside down? I don't know. Yeah, a lot of you probably. Oh, Adela, hey there. You got me live on a Tuesday. Excellent. Does that day work out good for you guys? Okay, so here we go. There we've got our sides, and we'll just tuck them in like this. And then we've got the bottom and the top. And there we have it. It closes just like that. Okay, now we're going to do a little bit of something different. Oh, yes. Well, and a map, Martha, a map page can totally be, confusing. You really have to, and the only way you can check a map page is by, like making sure you can read it, right? That the words are going. But, sometimes they'll have, like a river might have its words, like say this line is the river, it's got its lines going across there. So it's always, yes, if you were honest, yeah. Oh, I know. Or you just end up cutting it the wrong way, or, oh my goodness. All the things, right? So out of all of that, we have ended up, it looks like this is what we have for scraps out of that 12 by 12 paper, right? That's what we had left. So now what I'm going to do, I got some fun stuff over here to use for like the pockets and things. Just some, some of their random Tim Holtz kinds of stuff. Just a fun little thing. Whoops! Oh, what did I do there? I had selected a goodie and dropped it. I love this key. That's kind of fun. I tell you, this paper is just, that's hard to find anything else in. You just stick all your goodies in, right? All the goodies everywhere. You can stick these in here, stick something else here. What else did I have? Another little pocket over here. I don't think I like that key there. Well, kind of. I kind of do. I'm going to do that. Let's just put it on there. Just something different. And then, you know what? I'm going to do, when we're done with this, I'm going to do a reel and show you something else that you can do with this. Because I'm not going to ink the edges on it. I'm just going to leave it like that. But I'll show you, I'll do a reel and show another way to add some dimension to that. What did I lose here? A little tickety thing. So you can just put all kinds of fun stuff in here, right? Okay, let's make a closure. This would be fun. You could do one of those policy kinds of closures here. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this on here just because it's different. It's different. We like different, right? I got some dried up glue coming off here. I think I got it stuck on my fingernails. So I'm going to put this right about here, just kind of center it. Now I'm going to poke a hole in there. I'm wondering if I want to poke it right in there. Nope, I'm just going to leave it here. And this will give a little bit more stability to where I poke my hole, okay? But you know, honestly, I'm going to use some baker's twine for my closure. And baker's twine is, you know, soft. It's not going to give us a big problem. But this is what we're going to do. We're going to poke a little hole in the center of this. We're going to try to poke it in the center. Okay, that's as good of a center as we're going to get. Now this, I actually am going to mark, I'm going to fold this up and mark the center here, which would be 2 1/4, so I can actually get it in the center. And so this is my, remember we've got two score lines here. One is at the back, this one is the front that wraps around. I'm going to poke my hole here in the top, the front score mark. Gosh, words are hard. And so I'm just gonna make, I'm using this same little small thing on my crocodile tool. So I'm gonna pinch that closed, and I only want to go in about halfway on my paper so that, you know, part of the hole, it's kind of like you're doing like the little thumb notch, right? So now when I open it up, I've got the full circle, right? You can see my full little circle there. Okay, now we're gonna take our twine, and I cheated. I already took a little bit of glue and rolled it on here so it could dry, so I didn't have any problems with trying to thread it through. So now we're gonna take this and we're gonna come from the top here and pull it on the inside, and we're gonna go through the outside here. Okay, I'm just gonna make, and let me close it all up. And I like my left flap over. And now pull it enough to where you can have enough to tie. So that's probably plenty. And we'll just snip it off here and then just give it a good tie. Now I'll tell you what, this has given, and we glued this piece on, but let me tell you something. If you think you really want to have a little bit more stability, all you have to do is take a tiny bit of your glue that is going to dry clear, right? And just kind of go around, and we could have done this first. And just kind of, you know, pat it. You just want a tiny bit, that's all. It's just gonna kind of give it a little bit more stability around that hole. It'll keep the papers. Oh my gosh. Lisa, are you needing a crocodile tutorial? I tell you what, well, you know, I laugh about that, but you guys, I keep my, in fact, I was thinking it was sitting right here. Well, it is. I keep my crocodile instructions because I never can remember the little, you know, the way, the combination, because you've got these little cube things that spin around, and depending on what you're using that part, how big the thing is, you know, I don't ever remember that. And I'm not going to. I don't even want to. That's just a thing to clutter my mind. I got more important things to remember than the dial settings for the crocodile. Although they are important, I'll grant you that. But I'm just going to leave that, and actually I might leave that kind of gummed up there a little bit. Oh, wait a second. No, I don't like that. I'm going to tap it off. But it'll give a little bit more. It'll just kind of give a little bit more stability, and then we can, just tie it. But that's kind of a different closure. I kind of like to do this once in a while. It's different. So you just get it tied. We'll tie it there. But all that's going to happen in here is you can still see that. I don't mind. I don't care. I think that's kind of fun. In fact, you know what? What you could do, we could actually put a dot of glue on both these things and use it kind of as a little belly band. That's a cool idea. And then we could stick another little goodie in here like that. Then you got a place to stick something like that so it becomes a little belly band. I love that idea. I'm going to do that. First though, I need to make sure, let me make sure I can get it tied where I want it. Let me make sure I have enough string for the top and the bottom before I do that, because I don't want to have like not enough. I'm sure it will be. I'm sure it will be fine. But you could do a ribbon, you could do, baker's twine. The reason I wanted to do baker's twine is because I thought I might want to put it in that journal. And so I didn't want a lot of bulk. Okay, that's fine. So I'm going to kind of hold this here and release this back down and flip it up and just put a little dot of glue under there. Just right here, so that it'll stay. I might have to hold that down there for a second. I don't think my clippy things are long enough to grab that. So we'll just wait 1 second there. Oh, I can feel it's already stuck. And then just another one down here. Another idea on the fly. Okay, what did Molly say? She put some white out on the numbers so you could see better. Put some white out on the numbers. Which numbers? Oh, are you talking about on the dial? Yes, I like that. They are hard to see. Oh, so did you put white out and then you rubbed it off? Because are they like... Yes, they are like, what do you call it? They're like engraved on there. You're right. Excellent plan, Molly. Oh my goodness. Isn't that the best when crafters share their ideas? And that's what, the saying, when each of us has one idea, we have one idea, but when two people share, then you both have two, and you just continue to share all of that, and we have all the ideas, right? You color-coded yours, Sue. Of course you did. You guys are so smart. Way more organized than I am. Sometimes I wonder why I'm the one on here showing the stuff. You guys, you just crack me up. I tell you, we have marvelous crafters that we all hang out with, you guys, and thank you so much for hanging out with me today for another little tutorial. And where's our little book? Here's our little book, and it's like a 1/4 inch thick. We made our little gusset for a 1/4 inch thick, but we could stick it in here if we wanted to still. Maybe put another belly band on there. I don't think it'll go in this one. This belly band's probably way too tight. Yeah, that's way too tight. When you're doing something thick like this and you want to put a belly band on, you almost have to have your piece right here and then put the belly band around it. Whether you're doing it, and this one I'd probably almost have to do it up and down like that one to hold it in. Although I'm afraid it might flip out in the pages. But there's not a lot of room down here. But you know, there's lots of ways to do it. You could take your ribbon and or your, you know, whatever you're using and start it here, you know, do it like this and then bring it around and then tuck it back in so that you've got kind of a, you've made kind of a loop, so to speak, to put it on there, right? We all need years so we can learn new tricks. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that, Adela. That's sweet. But yeah, so now, you know, we can just tie it up. And this is, you know, the the gold in it. Can you tell I bought this I got it on sale after Christmas last year. I had one that was gold and one was silver strands in it. And I thought, well, you know, it went better than any of the rest of the baker's twine, you know, because this has got all these brown tones in it. So at least it, you know, had something of a similar tone, right? Thanks, Patricia. I appreciate that. Okay, you guys, I'm going to let you go. And I don't think I'm going to do a live tomorrow. I will be live again on Thursday with Sacred Treasure House, and it's going to be like in honor of the Olympics, and we each had to come up with a game, and so, you know, a game to play. And so my game, we're going to do a craftathlon. That's as sporty as I get. We're going to do a craftathlon, and you all are going to play along with me. You're going to help you know, make the map, so to speak, for where we're going for our craftathlon, you guys. I'm so thankful that you have all popped on here with me today. It's been fun. I love sharing, you know, fun things with you. So you guys have a wonderful day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.